Hi, second grade. Welcome back to science class. It's good to see everybody. This week, you guys are going to become experts on food chains. Now, the last time we were together, pardon me, we were talking about how energy moves through a habitat. And if you went through my PowerPoint, you know that it moves through a habitat in what are called food chains. Now, I drew a little cartoonish food chain on my board for you. You notice it's a pond food chain. And let's take a look at all the different characters in it so we can kind of understand how they work together. Now, you guys should get this pretty well at this point. We got Mr. Kirchman. He's gone fishing here, right? Because he needs some food. Mr. Kirchman is an animal and he needs to get energy by eating. So Mr. Kirchman is going fishing for a big fish. Well, that big fish, um, he is going to eat a medium-sized fish who's going to eat a smaller fish, and that smaller fish is going to eat, well, some seaweed and algae, which are plants that grow in a pond. So let me ask you if you remember where the seaweed and the algae get their energy. Does anybody remember that? Bet you do. Yes, they are plants. So just like a tree that grows on land or grass or corn or flowers, seaweed and algae get their energy from the sun. All of the energy on the planet Earth starts with the sun. So the sun gives its energy to the seaweed, and whoops, the seaweed and the algae, they produce food for the other animals, which is why we sometimes call plants producers. So plants are called producers. Now, all these other guys, the little fish, the medium-sized fish, the big fish, and the Mr. Kirchman, they can't produce food by sunlight. Instead, they have to eat, or a scientist would say, they have to consume food. I'm going to write that word down. They have to consume or eat food. So you can probably guess that these fish and me are called consumers. So let's backtrack just a little bit. The sun gives energy to the producers. They produce food for the consumers. And then, and you will get more to this in fifth grade, but then those consumers and those producers will all die, and they will in turn be eaten by what are called decomposers. But that's for another day. So we have just created a food chain. Now, I'll bet you know, some of you, I'll bet you know that this fish that eats plants has another special name. It's not a vegetarian. An animal that only eats plants is called a herbivore, a herbivore. And an herb is a type of a plant. So an herbivore is a consumer that the only thing they eat, that almost all of their energy comes from eating plants. Now, these guys, they only eat other animals. And because they only eat other animals, they are called carnivore. They are called carnivores. Now, we would also call them, a lot of you know this word, we would also call them predators because they hunt for their food. But when we're talking about food chains, we like to use that word herbivore and carnivore, which are types of consumers, and producers, which are plants. And then finally, there's Mr. Kirchman. Now, Mr. Kirchman is eating a fish. So you would think that would make him a carnivore, but Mr. Kirchman also likes broccoli and salad and apples and bananas and strawberries, and those are all plants. So Most of the animals on Earth are not herbivores and they're not carnivores. They belong to a group called omnivores. And an omnivore is an animal that gets energy. It's a consumer that gets energy by eating both plants and animals. Now, enough about that. When you go to my lesson, you're going to find a couple of really cool videos to help you understand these ideas better and to become an expert at food chains. There are also some really fun games. There's a food chain game where you get to build food chains. And then there's a little quiz game about carnivores and herbivores and producers and so forth. I also have a project that I'm going to ask you to do. And I'm going to make a quick video to show you how to put that project together, okay? So next time we speak, you you will know as much about food chains as your science teacher does, all right? I hope you and your family are doing well. It's been nice chatting with you all. Bye for now.